Earlier this week, 2 police officers paid a visit to a grandmother, Helen Jones, simply for criticising Labour politicians on social media. In a post on a local Facebook group, Miss Jones, commenting on a Labour councillor involved in the WhatsApp scandal that saw Health Minister Andrew Gwynn resign in disgrace earlier this month. If you remember, he said, amongst other things, that he hoped one of his constituents would die. She said, this woman, Helen Jones, said of a local councillor involved in that WhatsApp group, "Let's hope he does the decent thing and resigns. I somehow think his ego won't allow it." In another post about the councillor, after posting screenshots from the Trigger Me Timbers WhatsApp group, Mrs Jones from Heaton in Greater Manchester wrote, "Not looking good for the councillor," to which another member added, "Councillor, will you be resigning?" Very tame stuff. This is the moment police, thought police we can call them, came to the door to offer her advice.
I'm a police officer, Helen. Do you? You going to speak? Okay. Okay. We'll give you.
OK, we're joined now by the director of the Free Speech Union, Lord Toby Young. Toby, good evening. Thank you for your company. Look, I really want to, I said last night, by default, respect the police. But when I see Tweedledum and Tweedledee in that clip there, flashing their badge because they want to talk to a granny about something she's posted online, they make it really difficult for me.
Yeah, I think they make it difficult for most of us, Ben. Everyone knows that if you get burgled or your car is stolen or you want to report a mugging, it's actually quite hard to persuade the police to send anyone round to your house. They give you a crime reference number and tell you there's not much they can do. And if you're lucky, someone turns up, 3 or 4 days later. So for these 2 plainclothes officers to be dispatched to this grandmother's house, seemingly because the partner of this Labour councillor that she, as you say, was only very mildly criticising in a sort of community chat group. The partner of the Labour councillor in question complained to the police. God knows what he was thinking. But nevertheless, the police thought, oh, well, we've received a complaint from the partner of a Labour councillor. I guess they thought that councillors are particularly at risk in this febrile political moment. There have been a few attacks on elected politicians, so we better go round and have a word with her and advise her that what she said in this chat group has really upset the Labour councillor. I mean, it feels like they were trying to fire a shot across her bows at the behest of a local politician who happens to belong to the ruling party. I mean, it's sort of like almost like a sort of comical version of 1984. Yes, they're the thought police, but they almost turned up in a clown car at her house. I mean, they didn't. It's sort of sinister, but completely ridiculous at the same time, and that's typical, I'm afraid, of Starmer's Britain.
Well, I was going to say, Toby, I was going to get onto that. What does this say about the Labour government, if anything, and Keir Starmer? Is this indicative of, I guess, they have been accused of this growing theme of authoritarianism and anti-free speech? Can we directly link this kind of incident? Because the police are independent, of course, from the government, and they're not political either. But can we link the two? Well,
I think the police do take seriously allegations made by elected politicians, and seemingly, I mean, this is the second example in a few weeks of someone finding themselves in trouble and visited by the police because of a complaint by a Labour councillor. The other one was much more serious. That was a former Royal Marine called Jamie Michael, who posted a video on Facebook, a 12-minute video, urging people to protest about illegal immigration.
And he went to court, right?
And he was charged with stirring up racial hatred, absurdly. And the maximum sentence for that is 7 years. But the Free Speech Union found him a really good solicitor, a really good barrister, and it took the jury all of 17 minutes to unanimously return a verdict of not guilty. But given that people are finding themselves being prosecuted, in some cases being sent to prison for hurty words on social media in message groups. I mean, it's not surprising that this grandmother was pretty terrified when these police officers turned up and told her that there'd been a complaint, and they took it seriously enough to come round to her house. It's not surprising that she was pretty intimidated by this, and I think there is this nasty, intimidating tone that's sort of really got abroad since Labour became the government, and people are now, I think, petrified that if they say the wrong thing, if a member of the ruling party complains that they've expressed an opinion that they don't like, that they could end up in prison, which is, not where we should be in
No.
birthplace of parliamentary democracy.
I mean, I laugh because it is so comical, as you say, but actually it's very serious, sinister and chilling at the same time as well. Does the Free Speech Union do any work with police forces? Do you offer your own advice or guidance on how coppers can use their time more efficiently?
Well, it's such sort of basic common sense. You wouldn't have thought that they'd need to hire a consultancy group to advise them not to investigate this kind of minor thought crime when there are so many unsolved crimes in Greater Manchester. We did do some. We submitted some FOI requests to all the police forces in England and Wales to find out how much training they were getting about our legal protections for freedom of speech. Did they know about Article 10 in the European Convention of Human Rights? Did they know that lots of times people prosecuted for speech crimes are acquitted, and the judges affirm the importance of freedom of expression when they send them on their way? But no, the answer was the amount of training that the police get about our right to free speech and the legal protections for our free speech are absolutely minimal, little to none, compared to, of course, all the
other stuff.
All the other stuff that they're bombarded with: critical race theory, gender identity ideology, EDI. They get that, that's coming out of their ears. But no, free speech, it's almost unheard of.
There's a surprise. Well, Toby, just for clarity, if anyone's watching at home, this grandmother, Helen Jones, she committed no crime. The coppers said she committed no crime, and they were there to give her quote-unquote advice. So make of that what you will. Lord Toby Young, thank you, Director of the Free Speech Union. Appreciate your company this evening. Thank you very much. The police, Greater Manchester Police, they said in a statement, "We spoke to the woman for 6 minutes to advise she was the subject of a complaint of harassment and to answer any questions she may have. No further action is necessary as no crime has been committed. We are under a duty to inform her that she is the subject of a complaint. The genuine threats that have been made to local councillors recently have meant it has been more necessary to ensure all reports are looked at. On this day, officers were making 203 arrests for crimes like assault, burglary and rape. Tackling these priorities are why the complaint was dealt with 2 days after it was reported." I'm not meant to comment on rights of reply, so I won't, but I could say plenty about it.